Hi, it's Dwyer, gamblersadvisory.com, a free site, bettingangle.us, a free site. Let's talk about what happened yesterday. Will Smith, jumping on stage at the Oscars, offended that a comedian made a joke about his wife, a mild joke. And of course, Will Smith walks up to that comedian, Chris Rock, and slaps him hard on national television. Let me just make a few points here. If it were Mike Tyson on stage, or The Rock, not Chris Rock, but The Rock on stage, telling the exact same joke, in my opinion, Will Smith stays in his seat. If concealed carry of firearms was allowed, and there was an open question as to whether the comedian was armed, Will Smith likely stays in his seat. In other words, Will Smith is a big man on campus when the other man is smaller. Now look, I admire Will Smith's work, but not as much as I admire free speech and comedy. Right? I want to be clear here. The show that would deal with this, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, unfortunately, is based in a different decade and is in its last season. Right? Stuff like this shouldn't be tolerated. What's happening right now on Twitter, where people are saying, oh, Dave Chappelle's next and stuff like that, really shouldn't be tolerated. Right? I'm much more enamored. I want to protect Lenny Bruce, George Carlin, Richard Pryor, Eddie Murphy, Chris Rock, Dave Chappelle, George Lopez. I want to protect them from idiots who get offended watching their act and then decide that they're going to hop up on stage and act violently. You and I know that Will Smith is just the tip of the iceberg. They're going to be lunatics up there. Right? Lunatics. I don't want to have any word of kindness for the people who are dumb enough to decide that they're going to go attack entertainers. Right? What Will Smith should have done is gotten up and leave or move backstage. I understand he was nominated for Best Actor. I'm happy that he won. Right? I root for black actors who are up for awards because I remember when I was a kid that winning the award wasn't a distinct possibility. Right? But let's be clear here. Chris Rock, whether or not his feelings were hurt, needs to sue two groups. First is Will Smith. The second is the Academy. So that comedians, as well as presenters, are protected. So that there's a cost. So the next whack job who shows up in a crowd and then is outraged. Oh my God, this guy's talking about hair loss. Trust me, I know the topic. Right? This guy's talking about hair loss. Someone I know has had hair loss. I'm upset. Let me wreck this show for everyone. Let me prevent this comedian from speaking his mind because we're in some kind of high censorship culture. Right? All I could say is to hell with those people. What I hope happens here, and I understand Chris Rock hasn't brought criminal charges, is I hope Chris Rock reconsiders. Because understand, in the past, you've had people like Pryor and Lenny Bruce talking about interracial romance. Right? You've had George Carlin talking about the 7 words you couldn't say on television. I don't know about you, but when I go to a comedy show, I'm expecting edgy material. I'm expecting the comedian to say things that many others can't say. What I'm not expecting is some jackass deciding that they're going to hop out of their seat in the front row to attack the comedian. Right, so here, everyone needs to be put on notice. If you're invited by the Academy to be a presenter at the Oscars, the Academy's going to protect you. Some lone nut who decides they're going to come up on stage to physically assault you needs to be confronted by security. Right? Chris Rock shouldn't be up there fending for himself. He's an invitee. Right? The Academy should have protected him more. Also, the minute some ignoramus gets out of the crowd with the intention of attacking a comedian, the crowd should boo that ignoramus. Right? We should all figure out that the guy is trying to quash free speech. That this idiot is at a show without a sense of humor and wants to penalize all of us. Right? The last time I checked, even in California, America was a free country. Chris Rock, simply put, should be able to make jokes about G.I. Jane and Jada Pinkett Smith. Right? Folks like me are looking at the telecast, hoping that Chris Rock starts telling jokes. I want to hear what Chris Rock has to say. Right? I really don't care. Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn what Will Smith thinks about the joke. Right? If he's going to get out of his seat to try to attack Chris Rock, I hope there's security to let him know, player, we're not having it. I hope Chris Rock is able to defend himself. I'm hoping if Will Smith is able to get to Chris Rock and to land a shot, I'm hoping there are consequences and repercussions. If there are none, and to Chris Rock, let me just say this, if there are none, then who in your craft is safe? Right? Dave Chappelle's next show, someone is going to sit in the front row. They're going to be offended because Dave Chappelle is talking about transgenders. Right? Most of the jokes, by the way, very tame. Right? But Dave Chappelle is openly talking about transgenders and society adjusting to them. It's going to be a setup. Someone is going to show up. They're going to sit in the front row. They're going to wait for the joke. Then when the joke comes, they're going to run on stage because some family member either had a bad experience or, is offended by the joke. Folks, in the United States, I don't care how much cancel culture there is. In the United States, in 2022, we can't have that. Right? Ignoramuses who show up to comedy shows who want to then leap up on stage to try to hurt people need to understand there's risk involved. Right? There's risk involved. Physically, legally. Right? So for everyone on Twitter who's supporting Will Smith in this in any way, shape, or form, just know I'm on the other side of the play. I think Will Smith, good guy, had a real bad night. And I'm talking about a night in which he won the Oscar for Best Actor. No one's going to remember that. He had a real bad night that they'll be talking about decades from now. Let's hope decades from now. The consensus view is going to be that comedians or presenters at the Oscars can say jokes. Right? I mean, either we have free speech or we don't. If you're in the crowd, you should never have the right. I don't care if the guy's up there throwing out offensive language. You should never have the right to hop out of your seat and to run up on stage trying to attack the guy. That doesn't work for me. So I understand Chris Rock made a movie with Jada in the past. I understand in the 2016 Oscars, Chris Rock talked about how Jada wasn't invited to the Oscars because she was on a TV show. And that her complaining about the Oscars was like him complaining about not being invited to Rihanna's panties. Okay, fine. Chris Rock has made fun of Jada in the past. Okay, great. Right? I hope I see Will Smith stay in his seat the next time Chris Rock is on stage. If he's not mature enough to handle the monologue, get up and leave. But don't disrupt my entertainment. That's how I see it. Let me hear from you. I hope you leave your comments in the comment section of this video. You know, they can handle this easily. Right? Chris Rock can have his people sit down with Will Smith's people, and they can announce that Will Smith is making a donation to a charity that Chris Rock picks. Right? That charity could be for a great cause. Right? The protection of the safety of transgenders. Fighting cancer, whatever, protection of children, domestic violence shelters, right? But some price has to be paid for Will Smith. Otherwise, the next time you have a generational comedian like a Lenny Bruce, a Richard Pryor, or George Carlin on stage, and some jackass decides that they're offended and decides to rush the stage, what happens could be far worse than what happened at the Oscars last night. That's how I see it. Let me hear from you. We either have free speech or we don't. I hope you leave your comments in the comment section of this video. Thanks for stopping by.